Welcome Math 116 to what we hope will be the last video in Chapter 10 on complex numbers. It's video 6, I believe. And in this video we're going to be using complex numbers in both formulas, specifically formulas involved in electronics, and also in equation solving quadratic equations. So I'm going to start with actually the second section, 10-12, solving quadratic equations where the solutions include complex numbers. So these are equations, the type of which you've seen in the past, but where we had the square root of a negative number, we declared that that was not a real solution and therefore not a valid answer. We're now living in the land of complex numbers, and in this set of complex numbers you can have solutions that have the square root of -1 or I, and you will want to be writing your solutions with that value of I. So let me give you an example. Previously, when we solved x squared equals 25, we know to take the square root of both sides, and when you take the square root of a variable squared, you generate two solutions, specifically positive and -5. If you were to take +5 and substitute it in for x and square it, you produce 25. If you take -5, you substitute it in for x and square it, you get positive 25 as well. So this did not involve any imaginary numbers because you did not need the square root of a negative number. By contrast, let's look at example 1b. X squared equals the square root of -25. In the past, we would take the square root of both sides, but all kinds of warning sounds would go off because in real number systems, we can't take the square root of a negative value. But now that we are living in the land of complex numbers, we can take the square root of x squared, which is x, and we will get plus and minus the square root of -25. But we're not done because this is not yet simplified, and we certainly don't like to leave answers under a radical that have negative values. So how do we proceed? You say we need positive and negative. We know that the square root of -25 can be broken down into the square root of 25 times the square root of -1. And we know the square root of 25 is 5, and the square root of -1 is I. So we have positive and negative 5i as our solutions. And you could quickly substitute those into your original equation and see how you generate the correct value, or a true value, a true solution in your equation. 5i squared is equal to 25 I squared, but we know I squared is worth -1, so when you rewrite this value, it's the equivalent of -25. So I've just established that 5i, positive 5i, is one of the solutions to our original equation, and you could check the other as well, but I won't bother at this point. It will also generate -25 as a solution. Let's work on another example then. Example 2, a quadratic equation, x squared plus 7 equals 0. Let's start by isolating the quadratic term. So subtract 7 from both sides. This yields x squared equals -7. And now that we're living in the land of complex numbers, we could take the square root of -7. And our solutions, and again we'll have a positive and a negative solution, our solutions will be plus and minus square root 7i. Now note that the I is outside of the radical and that you need the plus and minus, and the square root of 7 is irrational. It's a never-ending decimal, and so you'll leave your simplified answer in this format, plus and minus square root of 7i. Now the other type of equation solving that you're going to be responsible for also involves quadratic equations, but equations that don't factor and can't be solved easily by taking the square root of both sides. you would have to complete the square, which is frankly not a fun process. So let's use the quadratic formula to solve this equation that is a quadratic equation, but it has three terms. Remember the quadratic formula: the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a will generate your solutions, your values of x that are solutions to this equation. So x equals the opposite of b, and I should have identified b is 5, a is 3, and c is 3. Pulling these two coefficients as a and b, and the last term, the caboose, as c. So x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared, so that's 5 squared, minus 4 times a times c, all over the quantity 2 times a. And it's very important, especially when you're taking an assessment in this class, if you're submitting the written work, please show your substitution so I can verify that you substitute properly and you identified a, b, and c properly. Now, trying to simplify this, I have the opposite of 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus, looks like 45, all over 6. Further simplifying, the opposite of 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 minus 45 is negative 20, all over 6. Now we're very far along at this point, but this is unfinished business because this radical can be simplified. Not only do you need to wrestle the I term out of it, you also need to simplify the square root of 20. So down here, let me just refresh you. The square root of 20 could be broken down into taking the square root of 4 times 5. Remember how you're always looking for the largest perfect square that's a factor in your radicand. And when you take the square root of 4, you get 2, but the square root of 5 has to remain in jail because it doesn't have a partner. You can't take the square root of 5. So we're going to recognize that this can be simplified as negative 5 plus or minus 2 root 5. That represents the square root of 20 portion, and then you write your I term outside the radical afterwards, all over 6. And again, this is a fine answer if you're allowed to leave it in fraction form. If you're not allowed to leave it in fraction form, you're going to find, I believe, that you're going to have to round your decimals here. So I'm going to quickly enter this in my calculator. And because I have the decimal formatted to two decimal places, I get negative 0.83 plus 0.75i as my solution. Please note in the calculator how I've had to use my grouping symbols. The numerator has to be in parentheses, and the radicand 5 has to be separated with parentheses to get the right value. So again, here my answer is negative 0.83 when rounding to two decimal places plus 0.75i. And that wraps up the section 10-12. Moving on to 10-11, applied problems involving formulas that require complex numbers. I'm going to do 4 problems, 96 and 97 on page 464, and 2 problems on the next page. The problems on the next page are the harder ones, so I'm going to work through 96 and 97 quickly, and they're frankly easier. In question 96, there's a formula that you need to use that involves an AC series circuit showing the relationship between impedance, resistance, and reactance. So it's purely a function of substituting in the values that you've been given. I like to substitute in complex numbers with my parentheses. Because it's addition, you get to, and it's complex numbers in rectangular form, you get to add them like terms, and you get 40 for the real number component, and for the imaginary component you get positive 30j. Now the question also asked you to convert this to polar form, and this is typical. You'll have to give answers sometimes in both forms. So remember, that's the r theta form. Recall you can find r by using the Pythagorean theorem, and that delivers a distance or length of 50, and you can find theta using tangent inverse. Remember, it is the b value over the a value, which results in, rounded to a whole number, 37 degrees. And there are two ways you can write this, as the ordered pair for r and theta, or you can write it in the same way that the book does. Quickly for 97, I'm solving this formula here, again involving an AC circuit. Z equals V over I. When I substitute in, I realize I'm working with complex numbers in rectangular form requiring division, and so I must multiply by the conjugate, FOIL the top and the bottom. Showing my worked out solution here, I got 40 plus 170j over 5, which simplifies to be 8 plus 34j. Now you'll also need to give that answer in r theta format, same process as up there. Now turning to page 466, problem 101. This series of problems on 465 and 466 are problems that you will be required to do and involve more work. So here's a given formula, again involving electronics, and you can see that the values that you're going to be substituting in are given in rectangular form. Substituting in these rectangular form numbers, and do it carefully, notice the subscripts are t and 2, and then z2 minus zt. You're going to have to FOIL the numerator, and in the denominator you can combine like terms. Then when you simplify that, you're going to have to probably, unless the j term drops out in the downstairs, you'll have to multiply the top and bottom by the conjugate to get a simplified answer. When I FOIL and I change j squared to be worth -1, I end up with 18 plus 13j over the quantity 1 plus j. The conjugate is 1 minus j, and you're going to need to multiply top and bottom of your fraction by 1 minus j and simplify. So multiplying those out, I get these quantities, which simplifies to 31 minus 5j over 2. Now remember, j squared is worth -1, and 1 minus -1 is actually worth 2. When you simplify this using your calculator to do your division, you get 15.5 minus 2.5 j, and the units for the problems looks like it's ohms. As you can see, this is a more involved word problem, and it requires you knowing how to do all of these operations and simplify in rectangular form.